All right, welcome back. Whitlock and Wiley. TJ Houshmandzadeh is back, and we're joined now by Fox College basketball insider Aaron Torres. Time now for a big story. Let's move to the NCAA tournament, where Virginia advanced to tonight's final against Texas Tech, but not without some controversy. The Cavaliers were down 2 to Auburn with time running down when Ty Jerome committed a pretty clear double dribble that the refs missed. And then on the next play, Auburn was called for a controversial foul on a three-point shot. UVA sank all 3 free throws and won, an ending that had a lot of people drawing comparisons to the controversial NFC Championship game between the Rams and the Saints. The question here is, what was the bigger controversial ending, UVA-Auburn or the Saints-Rams? To me, it's this basketball game. I don't even find the Saints-Rams game all that controversial. It's an optical illusion that it was a pass interference, in my view, and that's a bang-bang play. To miss this double dribble when 2 referees are staring right at it, and it's one of the most obvious, easiest calls you could make, that was ridiculous. I don't have a problem with them calling a foul on the shot. I thought the guy was fouled on a three-point shot. But missing that double dribble is a crime. Auburn should be playing tonight.
Prisoner of the moment right here. Oh, which one just happened? Oh, okay. I'm going to say the basketball one. Lock them up. You're right here for being a prisoner of the moment. No, you know it's the NFC Championship game. I tell you why. Watching those 2 plays in the Virginia-Auburn game, one of them, for most casual fans was watching it, and the double dribble occurred, off replay, you say, oh, yeah, they didn't call that. And even in the foul, even though you hated for them to call it, you said they have to make that right call. But that's not the NFC Championship game. In the moment, I didn't need replay. I didn't need second thought. I was like, he just hit this dude before the ball got there. And helmet to helmet. Bang, bang, and then the ball goes by. And no call. Insane. So for me, it's not even close. NFC Championship game. I didn't need technology. I didn't need to taste the crowd and see what everyone was thinking. I knew in that moment they messed that play up, and that's egregious.
To me, I completely disagree in the sense that if the double dribble is called accurately, there is no controversial ending to this play. And so to me, it does feel like the college basketball play is bigger. We can go through every moment of that fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. We can go back to the first quarter when Saints missed opportunities to put points on the board. But you go to that Virginia-Auburn game, I just look at it from the perspective of if they get, you could say it's bang, bang, it's hard. The refs have to know that call, right? The refs have to see it in real time. So to me, I'm just sitting here saying, even as a fan on the couch, like you have to catch that if you're the refs. There's no excuse.
Double dribble? Like, all we hear about in NBA is they travel all the time in basketball. Double dribble. How many times do they call double dribble again?
Because it don't happen that often. Exactly. Because it's so damn obvious that most people don't even do it. That was not so obvious. You didn't know where that ball got clipped. Did the ball hit him on the foot? Did the ball get tipped by the defender? And then through replay, we saw that. And started dribbling.
So we're on 2 different sides of the table here because I'm going with the NFC Championship game as well. And the reason I say it is this. I had to see the replay and I was like, oh, that was double dribble. Yeah. The championship game was obvious, but this...
You don't know basketball rules. Go ahead.
Oh, that's how we do this. But this is probably the biggest thing, though. This is probably the biggest thing. The reason this isn't as controversial is because it could be because the way Bruce Pearl handled it. He acted like it wasn't a big deal. It happens, we'll get over the call. Whereas with the Saints, they changed the rule. Sean Payton was still talking about it. The players were still talking about it. I just feel bad for the players on Auburn because when's the last time they've been in this position? They haven't. A lot of these guys are seniors. They'll never get a chance to be in this position again. So I feel sorry from that perspective. If I'm a ref and I knew that was double dribble, I'm not calling that foul. You can't. You missed the double dribble. And you call it. Come on, man. You can't screw on both ways.
Make up no call, huh? But you want to make up no call.
It's the way Bruce Pearl handled it for me that was like, even his players handled it right. I'm sure they didn't make that much of a big deal about it. They handled it the right way. I'm sure I wouldn't have handled it that way. But I think it's that way. The coach handled it well.
I love that point. I didn't even think about that in terms of here's a college coach with some young kids handling disappointment better than the professional.
If he makes a big deal about it and he's still talking about it, I think on TV it's become a bigger deal like what Sean Payton did.
But he's in an impossible position. You can't go hard and ride for a double dribble, no call. Like, I understand, we know the issue. We know the effect. We know the effect.
It cost him a chance of playing a championship. And I'm on your side.
What cost him more was, why are you fouling a three-point jump shooter? Like, that's what cost him more. If he really wants to discipline his team and really teach him a greater lesson, he can't hone in on a non-call on a double dribble. You would have to pick the bigger of the two, which is all he had to do was stop 6 inches before. You got to give him a landing spot. You shouldn't have the collision underneath. You shouldn't low bridge.
I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
The Auburn kid was fundamentally unsound in a big moment.
Yeah.
No way you should have been running up, closing out that hard and running up underneath the guy. I agree with that.
Yeah.
However, I really kind of like TJ's point about the way Bruce Pearl and his kids handle it, because it could have been a different coach. And again, just think if that had been Bobby Knight that had gotten screwed in that situation, there would have been chairs thrown, and he would have handled it the way Sean Payton has handled it. And that's why I don't like the way, and have never liked the way, the Saints and all this whining and crying, and, oh, we got to change the rules because one bad call happened in the NFC. And again, if you go look at that play, it was so bang. You're saying in the moment you knew the Saints deal was an outrageous call. In the moment, I actually thought, I said, oh, that ball's uncatchable. I hope they don't throw a flag. That's literally what I thought.
You know, all his athleticism, his leaps, his bounds, his vertical jump. There's no way he could touch that.
I'm just saying the way it processed to me. And I agree. It processed to you the way it did for a lot of people. For me, I was like, uncatchable. I hope they don't throw a flag. And when they didn't, I was like, good. Justice. But
here we go.
I was going to say, back to the Bruce Pearl point, do you think in real time, like maybe he just didn't realize how big of a botch call that was?
Yeah.
Because they came back to the TV, and Charles Barkley, Mr. Auburn, he took about 2 minutes to even reference the double dribble. And so I wonder if they realized in real time how big of a deal it was, how missed it was, and by the time they got to the podium.
To my point.
When Charles was standing on the floor and didn't have a good view of that, and I think he was standing underneath the basket, so his view, I think, was obscured. And so I think all the guys on that
But he still could have made a big deal after the game in a press conference to make it more controversial than it was.
Well, they all handled it with class, unlike the Saints. All right, before we go, I'd like to congratulate my good friend and one of the 5 best coaches in college basketball, Baylor's Kim Mulkey. Mulkey and her Bears won the women's NCAA tournament last night, beating Notre Dame 82-81 in a thriller that Texas Tech and Virginia are unlikely to duplicate tonight in the men's championship. Sunday's victory marked Mulkey's 4th NCAA title. She won it all as a star point guard on Louisiana Tech's 1982 title team. She's added 3 championships as Baylor's head coach. Mulkey is as good a story as we have in college sports. I rank her just below Mike Krzyzewski and Gino Auriemma as a college coach, and right alongside Roy Williams and Tom Izzo. You know all about Coach K, Gino, Roy, and Izzo. You don't know much about Kim Mulkey, and part of the reason why is because the NCAA stupidly plays the women's tournament at the same time as the men. This has been my complaint about women's college basketball for 2 decades. It's asinine to play the women's tournament in the shadow of the more established men's tournament. You're asking the media and fans to divide their attention between the two. That would be fine if the tournament shared the same venues, like, say, Wimbledon or the French Open. But they don't. The women's Final Four was played in Tampa. The men played tonight in Minneapolis. Women's college basketball needs to follow the path of women's soccer. The men's and women's World Cups are separate events, played at separate times, and they create separate superstars. The women's NCAA tournament should be played in April when media and fans can singularly focus on the women's game. Playing in the shadow of the men denies women the sunlight they need for growth. The current setup is March Madness. All right, more Speak for Yourself right after this.
That was good. Man, that was good. That was